Once upon a time, in the distant plains of Africa, there was a small village called Kumbara. Today, you won't even find it on the maps. Yet the elders say that once a wind blew there that carried both human sorrow and joy together. People say that wind is gone now, but some hearts still believe in its whispers. In the time of this forgotten wind, there lived a boy named Kofi, slender with deep eyes, yet full of courage. Villagers said that on the day Kofi was born, a strange light descended from the sky, as if a sign had appeared. Kofi's parents were simple farmers, but the boy carried a silent spark that set him apart from others. The story goes that one day, an unusual stillness fell over the village. The sun shone, the wind existed, yet not even the leaves rustled. The elders grew fearful, for this silence only came when some unseen danger approached. At that very moment, Kofi heard the whisper that people had passed down for generations. The wind brushed against his ears and said, "Time is short, Kofi. The thing that was buried centuries ago has awakened." The boy's feet sank into the earth. He could neither run nor speak. The trees around him stood still, as if they too had turned into stone in fear of the unseen. Kofi looked up at the sky. Behind the clouds, a dark ripple moved, and in that instant, he understood that the silence that had fallen over the village was a beginning, not an end. That was the day when an old, forgotten story turned once more, and Kofi became its first witness. That day, the sun over the village of Kumbara was strange, neither fully shining nor fully setting. It was as if it couldn't decide whether to cast light on the village or withhold it. Kofi still stood in the same spot where he had first heard the wind's whisper. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching him from afar. The village elder, Babu Lendo, known to people as the Reader of the Wind, slowly approached Kofi, leaning on his wooden staff. "Boy," his voice trembling, "tell me, what did the wind say? I see on your face the mark that only appears on the one who is called." Kofi pursed his lips and told everything. The silence, the whisper, the dark ripple, and the strange fear that had gripped his heart. Babu Lendo stood still for a moment, listening. Then he spoke slowly. "It has awakened, the one we called Umbra, the birth of shadow. Our people put it to sleep centuries ago. And if it has awakened now, it means the wind has chosen you, Kofi." Kofi took a fearful step back. "Me? I'm just a boy. What can I possibly do?" Babu Lendo placed a hand on his shoulder. "Child, stories always begin with ordinary people. The great ones only appear at the end." At that moment, the earth trembled slightly, as if a wall had broken somewhere in the distance. Birds rose into the air together. Tree branches shivered. And then the same voice, the same whisper, echoed through the entire wind. "Umbra has begun. What slept is now awake." A thin wisp of smoke rose from the direction of the village. Kofi turned his head and saw. Something had begun in Kumbara. The moment Kofi and Babu Lendo saw the thin wisp of smoke, they exchanged a glance. The smoke was faint, yet it carried a strange heaviness, as if it wasn't from burning fire, but a mark of fear itself. Both ran toward the village. As they stepped into Kumbara, a weight settled on Kofi's heart. Normally, the village was full of laughter, colors, and drums. But today every door was shut, every street silent. Even the wind was still, frozen as if gripped by fear. Then suddenly, "Aya!" A scream pierced the air, shaking the very earth beneath them. Kofi and Babu Lendo ran toward the sound. In the center of the village, a crowd had gathered. At their midst lay an old woman on the ground, her face covered with a shadow so black it seemed smoke had seeped into her skin. One trembling villager whispered, This is Umbra's mark. It has looked inside her." Kofi looked into the old woman's eyes. They were empty, completely empty, like a part of her soul had scattered into the air. Babu Lendo knelt beside her and said, "This is the beginning. Umbra has started its first search. It is looking for someone. Perhaps the boy the wind has called." The villagers' eyes turned to Kofi. Some were filled with fear, some with questions, and some with despair. Kofi's heart raced. He looked up at the sky. Among the clouds, the same dark ripple moved, as if some shadow had recognized him. At that moment, the wind whispered softly in his ear, "Your journey has begun, Kofi." And he knew. Something very ancient, very heavy, and very dangerous was moving toward him. The villagers' eyes were still fixed on Kofi. In their gaze was fear, but more than fear, there was anticipation, as if they were waiting for an answer from him, some hope, some certainty. Yet Kofi himself did not know why he was being pulled into all of this. Babu Lendo spoke softly. "Kofi, the wind has chosen you. The mark will appear on you." "What mark?" Kofi asked, his voice trembling. The old elder placed his quivering hand on Kofi's wrist. Suddenly, a gentle gust of wind arose, even though the village remained completely silent. The breeze touched Kofi's wrist, and a soft blue light emerged there, glimmering as if a fragment of the sky had taken root on his skin. Whispers spread among the villagers. "The mark of the wind. No one has received this for centuries. It only appeared during the last great battle." Kofi's heart raced even faster. "I don't want any of this. I just want to protect my village," he said in a shaky voice. Babu Lendo replied, "Child, sometimes the path to protection doesn't start with running, but with standing and facing. To stop Umbra, you need a heart that can move forward despite fear." Suddenly, the ground trembled again, this time stronger. From behind a baobab tree at the edge of the village, a dark wisp of smoke rose. Kofi's eyes widened. Inside the smoke, a shadow was moving. Slow, long, as if some unseen creature were walking upon the earth. The wind whispered again, "It is tracking you." Babu Lendo immediately grabbed Kofi by the arm. "Time is short. We must set out on this journey. If Umbra reaches here, Kumbara itself will be erased from history." Kofi looked at his village one last time, and took the first step of his story. Kofi and Babu Lendo had passed the last wooden huts of the village. The sun was slowly setting behind the vast African plains. From somewhere far off came the last calls of the birds, yet the evening air carried a strange tension, as if the night would not be ordinary. Kofi kept glancing back at Kumbara, where smoke still rose like a thin streak into the sky. "Babu, can't we go back? Maybe the village won't be attacked just yet." Babu Lendo shook his head. "Umbra finds its prey. If we stayed there, it would reach you before it reaches the village. And then destruction would come even faster." Kofi looked at his wrist, glowing softly with the blue light of the mark. "Is this mark a punishment or a responsibility?" Babu Lendo exhaled deeply. "Responsibility often becomes a punishment, child. But this mark is never for the weak. The wind has seen you. You may think of yourself as ordinary, yet stories always choose hearts like yours, hearts that realize their own truth too late." Night had fully fallen. The sky was plunged in darkness, yet stars were unusually few. Only a handful twinkled, as if sensing some approaching danger. Then, from afar, a deep, heavy sound echoed, neither of drums nor of beasts, but of something ancient. Kofi shivered and asked, "What was that?" Fear flickered in Babu Lendo's eyes. "That is Umbra's breath. It is not far. We must move forward, or it will surround us in the night." They quickened their pace. Yet Kofi felt the wind whispering behind him, racing along, as if some shadow were sniffing the sound of his footsteps. The journey had only just begun, and the first fear of the night had already awakened. The night was growing deeper, yet Kofi and Babu Lendo did not slow their steps. After the plains, a rocky path began, known to the villagers as Mwanga, the children's path. But behind this name lay a forgotten truth. This path was once walked only by those chosen by the wind itself. Babu Lendo, leaning on his staff filled with soil, spoke as they moved forward. "Kofi, what appears on this path is not always the truth. Some things are shown only to the heart, not the eyes." Kofi asked nervously, "And if my heart cannot see either?" The elder smiled and said, "Then the wind will teach you. It will not let you go now." A few steps ahead, the path suddenly changed, as if the earth itself had shifted, pushing them toward an unseen direction. In the distance stood a stone arch, carved with strange markings, lines between circles, and in the center of the lines, an eye-like symbol. Kofi's steps stopped on their own. "What is this?" Babu Lendo whispered. "This is the sign of the Wazazi wa Upepo, the guardians of the wind. They were said to warn people before Umbra arrived. Perhaps they wish to help us." Kofi stepped forward and placed his hand on the arch. Suddenly, the stone grew warm, and the blue mark on his wrist flared brightly. The wind surged violently. Leaves of the trees rustled loudly, and a mist began to gather at the center of the arch. From within the mist, a faint voice emerged, soft, yet ancient, carrying the weight of centuries. Time is short, little traveler. Umbra is about to open its second eye. If it does, the light of your world will be halved. Kofi's heart shivered. Second eye. That means the danger is increasing. Babu Lendo said quietly. Yes, and if the next step is wrong, we will all be finished. The mist vanished. The arch stood silently. But Kofi knew. The journey had become far more dangerous than before. As the mist around the arch cleared, a heavy silence fell upon the path. Kofi felt an unfamiliar pressure in his chest. The wind wasn't strong, yet it carried a restless unease, as if it, too, feared the danger approaching. Babu Lendo spoke softly. Kofi, Umbra has begun preparing to open its second eye. That means it no longer wants to remain just a shadow. It wants form. Kofi's steps faltered. Form. But it's only darkness, isn't it? The elder drew a deep breath. Child, every darkness, when strengthened, finds a body. Umbra's body is built from fear. Wherever there is the deepest fear, it draws its power from there. Hearing this, Kofi's mind pictured his village, Kumbara, the faces of its people, the fear, the scream. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath, as if trying to steel his heart. At that moment, the wind stilled. Tree branches ceased to sway. Bird song vanished, and clouds above gathered into a circular formation. Babu Lendo immediately grabbed Kofi's arm. Be ready. It's close, very close. Suddenly, a shadow spread across the middle of the path. First small, then long, until it became so vast that the entire rocky ground was swallowed in darkness. Kofi felt the temperature drop sharply. His breath emerged like white smoke. Then, within the shadow, 2 points of light glimmered. Not eyes, but the opening of its second eye. The wind screamed. Step back, Kofi. This is the first strike. The shadow lunged forward. The ground cracked. Stones shattered and scattered into the air. Kofi stumbled backward, but Babu Lendo held him steady. This is only the beginning, child, the elder shouted. Umbra wants to taste your fear. Kofi placed his hand on the glowing mark on his wrist. And he knew the time to run had ended. The shadow had now fully spread before them. Umbra's strike was so powerful that even the trees at the edge of the path shook from their roots. Cracks began to form in the ground, and from each fissure, cold darkness seeped out. Kofi's legs wavered, but he stopped before falling. The blue mark on his wrist flared wildly, as if the wind itself was awakening him. Kofi! Babu Lendo's voice trembled. Remember the shield of the wind, the one the Guardians made centuries ago. What shield? I've never. Think with your heart. The mark shines only when the path comes from within you. Umbra roared again, hurling a wave of darkness toward them. The wave was not like water, but a flood of fear. Touching it would burn even the soul. Kofi closed his eyes and drew a deep breath. A faint whisper of wind began to echo around him. Slowly, it seemed as though someone was drawing light from his palm and weaving it into the air. Then, the wind formed a circle. A translucent, blue-tinted veil appeared around him. The dark torrent Umbra had hurled struck the veil and scattered, as if the light had devoured the darkness and cast it aside. Babu Lendo said in awe, "The shield of the wind. You awakened it." Kofi, panting, asked, How did I do this?" "The wind is with you, child. You just have to call it." Umbra recoiled, as if seeing resistance for the first time. Something shifted within the shadow, like pure rage rising. The wind whispered again. "The shield has stopped it. But it is not enough. The journey is still long, Kofi." The darkness gathered once more and launched another attack. And for the first time, Kofi realized he was no longer just a boy running away. He had become the chosen traveler of this battle. At that moment, Umbra roared, not in sound nor in body, but in the trembling of its shadow. Lines of darkness above the ground twisted like serpents. Its strikes showed no sign of stopping. It was furious. Furious that, after centuries, someone had finally stood before it. Kofi took a deep breath and looked at the glowing blue mark on his wrist. Can I really do all this?" Babu Lendo replied. "Yes, if you let fear guide you. Do not stop it. Fear is not the enemy. It only shows you where to fight." Umbra struck again. This time, instead of darkness, a deep, scream-like vibration spread through the air, one that penetrated to the bones. Kofi raised his shield. The blue light spread once more, but this time it was weak. "Babu, the shield is breaking." Babu Lendo's voice sharpened. "The shield draws its strength only from your belief. Have the courage to trust yourself." The shadow lunged again, but this time, it halted before reaching them. Its entire form, a mass of pure darkness, shivered, then began to retreat like smoke. Kofi stared in astonishment. It's going back? Why?" Babu Lendo gazed toward the distant horizon. "Because the light is coming, and shadows always fear the light." Over the eastern hills, the sky began to faintly glow blue, the first sign of morning. Umbra gathered itself one last time with a deep, sinister tremor, like mist compressing, and vanished into the walls of the night. Kofi exhaled, exhausted but strengthened. "Have we defeated it?" Babu Lendo shook his head. "No, child. That was only the battle of the night. The real fight begins in the light of day. Umbra will return, stronger than before." Kofi looked toward the horizon, where the sun was rising. He felt a strange warmth in his heart. Courage fused with fear. The journey was far from over, but the traveler had taken his first step. Morning slowly reached the edges of Kumbara. The first rays of the sun scattered a soft light over the trees and earth. Kofi looked at the blue mark on his wrist. It was still glowing, though not as brightly as before. This light now gave him courage, not fear. Babu Lendo spoke softly. "Child, Umbra struck for the first time last night, but it is far from done. It was only testing your fear. The real battle still lies ahead." Kofi nodded. "So, where do we take the next step? I am still afraid, but I stand with fear at my side." The elder smiled. "The secret of the path is hidden in the past. Behind Kumbara lies an ancient rocky trail, one that reveals itself only to the chosen. The wind will guide you there. But be careful, child. This path is not easy. At every step, Umbra's influence will be felt." Kofi looked toward the forest, where mist still danced close to the ground. The shadows of the trees appeared long and dark, yet the light of the blue mark gave him courage. "Let's go. We are ready now." Babu Lendo stepped forward. "Remember, Kofi, this journey tests not just your body, but your heart and your belief. At every step, listen to the whisper of the wind. It will guide you." As they moved toward the forest, the wind swirled gently around Kofi. The blue mark flickered softly, and Kofi realized the path that had been hidden for centuries was now opening before him. Somewhere in the distance, Umbra watched them from hiding. Its attacks had not ended, but Kofi knew. He was now part of the battle, a traveler between shadow and light, chosen by the wind. And so, the true journey began. The darkness remained behind, yet danger grew with every step. With each forward stride, Kofi made a silent vow. He would face Umbra, no matter how many nights it took. Kofi and Babu Lendo stepped into the forest. The shade of the trees was so deep that even sunlight could not reach the ground. The wind was silent now, but the blue mark on Kofi's wrist glimmered with a faint whispering light, as if some unseen force had decided to give him courage. Babu Lendo spoke softly. "This forest is Umbra's first test. Here, it leaves darkness and fear to attack the courage of every traveler. At every step, it will see the strength of your heart." Kofi asked nervously, "And if my heart falters?" "Then it will find you," the elder replied. "But remember, child, darkness is never truly strong. When light comes from the heart, every shadow retreats." Kofi took a deep breath and moved forward. Walking on the stones, he felt the ground vibrate slightly with every step. Umbra's presence was everywhere, yet unseen. Then, the wind whispered, "Look, Kofi, behind every shadow, a truth is hidden. Find the courage to see it." Kofi's eyes scanned the forest. Between the trees, a dark streak flickered, but vanished immediately. Babu Lendo said, "This is your first sign. Umbra tests you through fear. Just keep the light of your heart alive." Kofi placed his hand over the blue mark and felt a warmth awaken inside him. Courage mixed with fear, certainty blended with wonder. At that very moment, a soft yet distinct scream echoed from deep within the forest. Umbra was near. But Kofi did not look back. He knew now, he was no longer just a traveler, he had become a fighter. The journey pressed on, and every step brought him closer to Umbra. Kofi and Babu Lendo had reached the deepest part of the forest. The trees were now so tall and dense that not a single ray of sunlight reached the ground. With every step, the blue mark on Kofi's wrist spread a gentle whispering light, strengthening his heart. "This is the final part, child," Babu Lendo said. "Umbra's power is at its peak. It will draw upon your fear to take form. Only your courage can save you." Kofi gripped the glowing light on his wrist and took a deep breath. "I am ready." Suddenly, darkness began to stir. Umbra emerged with its full strength. A fusion of shadow, mist, and light solidified into one form. Its two eyes fixed on Kofi, not just seeing, but reading his heart. Kofi stepped forward, carrying the rhythm of his heartbeat. The blue mark flared, and a gust of wind formed a circle around him. No longer just a shield, but a body of light itself. Umbra struck, but the light shattered every darkness it touched. Babu Lendo whispered, "This is the first and final fight, child. Accept your fear and transform it into light." Kofi felt every part of his fear, the smallest tremor, every doubt, every anxiety. Then, suddenly, he understood. Instead of stopping fear, he had to make it his companion. The blue light illuminated the entire forest. Umbra's shadowed form weakened, then dissolved like mist into the air. The wind began to whisper again, soft and comforting, as if it, too, felt relief. Kofi looked toward the sky, a new courage filling his heart. He was no longer just a traveler, no longer just a boy. He had become the heir of light and shadow. And so, the old, forgotten story came to an end. But in the village of Kumbara, the whispers of the wind always reminded everyone. That light always awakens in hearts that have the courage to move forward, even in the face of fear.